So during that time, I just made a deal with myself that if I was ever able to walk again, I'd spend the rest of my life studying the mind-body connection and mind over matter, and I've been doing that since 1986.
That was Joe Dispenza finishing a story about how he managed to heal his spine after breaking it in multiple places during a horrific cycling injury. Now, the only problem with that interview and many others like it are that they tend to gloss over what Joe actually did in order to achieve this. In this video, we'll go into detail about every step Joe took from when the accident happened to 9 weeks later when he walked back into his life pain-free and confident. It's an amazing story. According to Evolve Your Brain, Joe was cycling in a race at maximum speed when he was hit by an SUV at 50 miles an hour and thrown a long distance. Taken to hospital, he was told that without urgent surgery, he'd probably never walk again. Joe's health background is in chiropractic. He understood that this invasive surgery, called the Harrington rod, would leave him in chronic pain for the rest of his life. He knew this because some of his chiropractic patients had actually had this procedure and suffered chronic pain as a result, which Joe had been helping them manage. Staying with friends in a large sunny room, he began his healing work. Here's a quote: "I trusted that the body heals itself. This is the chiropractic philosophy, that our innate intelligence gives life to the body. We simply have to get our educated mind out of the way and give a greater intelligence a chance to do what it does best." So Joe came up with a game plan. Step 1. He would only eat a raw food diet, and only in small amounts. He says the energy required to digest large cooked meals would be preserved for healing, and that the enzymes already in the nutritional matrix of raw foods would hasten my digestion and take less energy for the body to process and eliminate. If you know about nutrition and have something to share about this, leave a comment. Step 2 was to spend 3 hours per day across morning, noon and evening in a state of self-hypnosis and meditation. In Joe's words, "I visualized, with the joy of being totally healed, that my spine was fully repaired. I mentally reconstructed my spine, building each segment. I stared at hundreds of pictures of spines to help me perfect my mental imagery. My focused thoughts would help direct the greater intelligence already at work to heal me." Now, in addition to being a chiropractor, Joe was also a licensed hypnotherapist. He had witnessed several people in altered states of consciousness recover from long-suffered illnesses, sometimes within the space of an hour. He knew about the healing power of the mind and was now focusing that power on his spine. Step 3 involved having people visit him 3 times a day, morning, noon and evening, to place their hands over the broken part of Joe's spine. He had friends, patients, doctors, family and even people he didn't know lay their hands on him and share their healing intentions and energy. This might have had helpful effects at different levels. For instance, you've got the heat of people's hands, which could have inspired blood flow, and then you have the intention. We know that things like the placebo effect, nocebo and Hawthorne effects are all driven by consciousness, so having different people coming in with the intention to heal could only have helped Joe. Step 4 involved the idea that for calcium to be laid down correctly in Joe's broken vertebrae, that he needed to place some gravitational stress on those bones to positively charge those calcium molecules. He had a friend build him an incline board with a base for his feet to rest upon. To quote, "I was placed on an angle of 2 degrees above horizontal to start conservatively stressing my spine. Each day we increased the angle. By the 6th week, I was at 60 degrees, pain-free, which is amazing when you consider that Joe was meant to be bedridden for 3 to 6 months. So things were progressing. Step 5 was to become vertical in the water. Joe was wheeled by his friends to an indoor heated swimming pool where he was gently lowered into the water so that he could slowly begin to move around, horizontally at first, then partly supported, raising himself slowly into a vertical floating position. That was the first time he had been fully upright since his accident. This allowed him to be vertical with minimal spinal pressure, and from then on, Joe swam every day, exercising all of his muscles. Step 6, and 8 weeks into his recovery, he was ready to try crawling on dry land. To quote, "I felt that if I imitated the movements of an infant, I could develop similarly and eventually stand." He practiced horizontal yoga daily to stretch his connective tissues, and at 9 weeks, he could sit upright, take baths, and finally use the toilet on his own. He was nearly ready to stand on his own 2 feet. Now, in this part of the story, Joe describes how in his 6th week, he saw a mysterious white book sitting on the bookshelf of the room he was in. On opening it, he discovered it was Ramtha, the White Book. This was a book based on the channeled teachings of Ramtha, which Joe says raised me to the next level of awareness and understanding about the nature of reality. I understood better than ever before that our thoughts affect not only our body, but also our entire life. A lot of what Joe describes there can be found across many healing traditions, both ancient and modern. The idea that our consciousness shapes our reality and that a healthy mind with healthy thoughts will lead to health in the body. Even at the frontiers of modern science, strong consideration is being given to the idea that mind not only influences matter, but supersedes it entirely. Ramtha's teachings further inspired Joe, and at 9.5 weeks, he walked back into his life. And at 10 weeks, was seeing his patients again. And that's how Joe Dispenza healed his spine. To explore mind-body healing further, watch this video here, featuring Dr. Joe, Dr. Wayne Dyer, and a mind-body healing meditation. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.